Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. I first have to get your take on that. I don't even know what else to call it, but a show yesterday, the House impeachment. I mean, even when in right-wing radio, they're saying, oh my God, they flipped the tables and made this an impeachment of Donald Trump. That's what an unmitigated disaster it was. I opened the show saying, isn't that the law 101? You don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. Republicans had witnesses that basically said the opposite of what they're trying to prove. Am I wrong?
Yeah, Republicans can't govern, they can't impeach, they can't pass a budget, they can't keep the federal government open. They're about to drive people into more desperate circumstances because they're going to stop getting paychecks. They're imploding. They're imploding before our eyes. And I look forward to see what rises up from the ashes of the Republican Party. I hope it's people with principle who, they have conservative ideas and priorities, but they really give a damn about our Constitution and about governing. So, let's hope that that's what we see moving forward.
I mean, you just did Sexy Liberal DC with us with Jamie Raskin. And I mean, I was joking about it was like the Harlem Globetrotters and Republicans were like the Washington Generals in a law sense, right? I mean, it just, they were so outmatched. It was just embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. And, early on, when the Republicans took the House, I was saying, boy, I really don't want them to hold hearings because it's going to be a clown show. Now I want them to hold hearings because they are exposing themselves to the American people for, the incompetent legislators they are. So you know what? The more Republican hearings, the better at this point.
And I thought Trey Gowdy was sweaty and awful during the Benghazi hearings, but wow, he looks like... I don't know who's a really Perry Mason, somebody. Okay, listen, it's gonna be a very good. It was a very bad, awful week for Donald Trump, as you tweeted. Donald Trump loses in New York court again. His civil fraud trial on remaining counts to begin on Monday. That would be tomorrow, and you said because #Justice Matters. So that's I love the headline this morning. Trump's fraud defense is so bad it's defying the very laws of physics, according to one analyst. So
yeah, Donald Trump is literally the biggest loser. I don't mean that figuratively. I mean, whether it's civil cases or criminal motions that his attorneys have been filing, he loses and he loses and he loses in spectacular fashion, from the E. Jean Carroll verdict to the civil case in New York that, it really is staggering what Judge Engoron found about the long-term chronic, systemic fraud that is Donald Trump, his adult children, his chief financial officer, and the Trump org and his companies. Anytime a judge orders that your LLCs, your businesses shall be dissolved,
yikes.
It doesn't get any more dramatic than that. We are now seeing the end of Donald Trump, the businessman. Not that he was ever a businessman. He's always been a con man. But we are seeing the end of Donald Trump, the businessman.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh at him. I'm laughing really hard at him. The appeals court rejected his request to delay the civil trial in the wake of a fraud ruling that threatens, as you just say, his entire business empire. But, I saved one story because we've had this ongoing conversation. Findings in Trump fraud trial reignite question about why Bill Barr's DOJ dropped the case. Well, I think we know why, because Bill Barr is the one that weaponized the Department of Justice to, protect Donald Trump and his friends and go after his enemies. But my other question would be, what about Merrick Garland? Why did he not? I mean, this case, even to a layperson, Glenn, we look at this case and go, this is just overwhelming evidence of fraud. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, because the rich, the powerful, the influential, the connected have gotten away with far too much for far too long. Why did Cy Vance, the district attorney in Manhattan, let Donald Trump run roughshod over the people of New York, the taxpayers of New York, for decades? Why? Well, because it is the ruling class. It is the privileged class. It is the donor class that are permitted to get away with crime year after year. Steal a purse, shoplift a couple of sticks of deodorant from a CVS, you're going right to Rikers, maybe even pre-trial. And we have to fix this. I mean, we see it, right? We have to fix it if we are serious about the prospect of equal justice for all.
Yeah. Again, we're just speculating, but why did Merrick Garland? I mean, I feel like we also kind of play by these, the different rules. I keep saying trying to win the Lady Byng Award in hockey. I was sporting the sports for a minute, but again, yeah, you get why Bill Barr, because Bill Barr did anything Trump asked him to, right up until the coup. But why did Merrick Garland let this go?
I don't understand why Merrick Garland seems to have let everything go that Donald Trump did that is not currently being prosecuted by Jack Smith. Because, Steph, we know Donald Trump bribed and extorted President Zelensky using congressional funds for a dirty political favor. We know Donald Trump committed as many as 10 felony obstruction crimes that Bob Mueller said he could be indicted for the day he left office. Merrick Garland, he's left all of those crimes unaddressed. And what that does, Steph, is it gives permission. It actually puts DOJ's stamp of approval on the next aspiring dictator committing those same crimes all over again. And I will never understand why we are not sort of stepping up and meeting the urgency of the moment.
So you also tweeted Judge Chutkan denies Trump's motion seeking her removal from presiding over Trump's federal prosecution in D.C. because #Justice Matters. But also, the second tier on that, you said, given Trump's disturbingly dangerous threat against General Milley, it's time for restrictions on Trump's speech and posts. Of course, given that he continues to violate conditions of his release, he should also be detained pending trial. And I think it's never gotten more serious than now. What is the time frame for her making some sort of ruling, and what do you think she's going to do?
Yeah, so Donald Trump's lawyers just filed their opposition to Jack Smith's request to put some narrowly tailored restrictions on Donald Trump's speech. And I think Jack Smith's team has an opportunity to respond with a reply brief in the coming days. And then I think you're going to get a pretty prompt ruling from Judge Chutkan. She may even set it for a brief oral argument, which I'm hoping she does. I'll be in court to watch it if she does. And then I predict she's going to impose some limitations on Donald Trump's speech and posts. But even more fundamentally, as you just read there, Donald Trump is already in violation of his conditions of pretrial release because he said he thinks the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, should be executed. Now, he tried to dress it up a little bit by saying when somebody committed treason in years gone by, they would be executed. Well, Steph, anybody who wants to open the big, ugly blue book of federal laws, the United States Code, and look at what the punishment today for treason is, it is still the death penalty. So there's no mistaking Donald Trump said Milley committed treason. Death is an authorized punishment. 1 + 1 = 2. Donald Trump should be detained pending trial. So we put a stop to his dangerousness.
Yeah. Chutkan said her comments during sentencing hearings for two defendants in J6 do not warrant recusal. She said the statements certainly do not manifest a deep-seated prejudice that would make fair judgment impossible. The standard for recusal based on statements with intrajudicial origins. I mean, that seemed like a no-brainer. But so let's talk about for a minute. So wait, let me hear. I played Fani Willis going into you. Here's another one, Fani Willis yesterday.
So what doxing is, and in particular just recently on a Russian website, y'all figure out why Russia would be interested. They put the information not only of me and my home address, but also some of my loved ones' addresses, said a lot of racial things. I've been called the N-word so many times that I don't even think I hear it anymore. But a lot of ugly and nasty things about me, but just with the purpose of you should go and intimidate and threaten this person and their family because of certain prosecutions.
I mean, start with Alvin Bragg and the picture of Trump with the baseball bat next to his head, and on and on. Letitia James. And it just, I was struck by this headline. Michael Cohen says he might not testify against Trump because of the threats the ex-president is generating. It struck me that Mitt Romney said a lot of senators that wanted to vote for impeachment wouldn't because they were afraid for their lives and their families. I mean, Glenn,
So Steph, the question becomes, I really am loath to criticize.
I hate to use this expression, but someone needs to put a finger in this dike, is what I'm saying.
Oh my goodness.
Of this, go ahead, Glenn.
So, Donald Trump is responsible for all of his dangerous rhetoric, but the institutions of government are responsible for not stepping up and addressing the threat. We have the tools. The law provides that when somebody is a danger to the community and the prosecutor has clear and convincing evidence of that fact, or when they are on pretrial release and they violate the conditions of their pretrial release, Donald Trump has done both things.
Yeah.
The law provides that they should be revoked on release and detained pending trial, and the institutions of government are not doing it. It's time to do it.
Yeah, Glenn, Michael Cohen made that point. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, well, I understand what he's saying. I'm like, oh my God, then whatever, expression you want, the bullies win, the terrorists win, because that's exactly what they want. That's what witness intimidation is. But yeah, he said he might not testify. He's scared of the blowback from Trump loyalists. He said Trump's rhetoric needs to be checked before he gets witnesses in the criminal cases hurt or killed. He said, I think it's incumbent now upon government, what you just said, Glenn. I listened again to a lot of pundits on the various stations talking about they have to do something to curb Donald Trump's language. Well, what are we going to wait till something, God forbid, happens? Then everyone's going to say thoughts and prayers to the family? He's threatening judges. He's threatening prosecutors. He's threatening witnesses. This is all obstruction of justice and witness tampering. And if they don't do something about it, I have a strong suspicion a lot of people may not end up showing up to testify. He counted himself among those who may choose to keep quiet. He said, I'm considering it myself, despite the fact that I'm under subpoena. I don't have to put my life on the line simply because Trump cannot control himself and the courts are not controlling him. And the last point, he said, nobody should be required to pay for personal security because the government needs you to prove their case. That seems, a lot of people don't have the resources, right? So, I think he makes a good point.
Yeah, the witnesses should not be left to protect themselves while Donald Trump continues to endanger their lives. And this is not some sort of, crazy harebrained prosecutorial overreach. The law provides that under these circumstances, you shall be detained pending trial. So I wish somebody in government would explain to the American people why the institutions of government are neglecting to do what the law says they should do. Yeah.
Well, the good news is it seems like his delay tactics he's used all his life are not working anymore. One last one. Trump's co-defendant, Ken Cheeseborough, of the Cheese and Kraken trial, as we discussed last week. He argued Tuesday that giving the president less than 2 months of legal advice doesn't constitute racketeering. Oh, I see. So it's like the 3-second rule for dropping food. So treason doesn't count if it's a coup, an attempted coup, sedition doesn't really count if it's only for, 2 months?
Right. You can see why Cheeseborough is in the kind of trouble he's in if that is his legal reasoning. These people are really clutching for straws. They understand that they're going to be convicted at trial, and they're throwing everything into the mix they can. None of it will work. And the real beauty of this first RICO trial being televised down in Georgia starting in late October is Fani Willis and her team will prove not only the crimes of Cheeseborough and Powell, she will prove all of the crimes of all of the members of the criminal enterprise, because that's the way you proceed in a RICO trial. You put it all out there. Yeah. So we're going to see Donald Trump's crimes, but Donald Trump's lawyers aren't going to be at the table to push back. So I urge everybody to tune in or live stream the Georgia prosecutions that will begin in October.
Okay. And last question. I have heard rumblings that a lot of people think that Judge, what's her name? Loose Cannon. Yeah. Judge Aileen Cannon is definitely slow walking the espionage case. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the death of a trial date by 1,000 cuts. She doesn't have to make dramatic rulings that can be questioned and reversed like some of her earlier rulings in favor of Donald Trump were. All she has to do is give the defense every continuance they request, every excuse for why they need more time and they can't go to trial in May, and it will be the death of the May trial date by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, Glenn, I can't wait. We're excited for my birthday. Buy a ticket to see us in L.A. for Sexy Liberal, or pay-per-view, only $20 for that. Look at the amount of
Look at
Sexy
that.
Liberal. Hal,
Get your
John,
face up in that.
Frangela, Ron Perlman, Rob Reiner, that guy. Oh, hi, I'm here with Sexy Liberal John Fugelsang wearing my Los Angeles Sexy Liberal shirt. Oh my God, we have an LA show coming up October 21st, but how else could you see it, John?
How else could you see it? I'm so glad you asked. For a limited time, you can see the show live via pay-per-view if you go to sexyliberal.com. All the laughs, you'll miss nothing.
I can stream it from all around the world?
All around the world, in your car, while you're driving. Watch it at home.
Sexyliberal.com, yeah.